Bienvenidos a todos.
Welcome to everybody. Welcome to those who are here present, and welcome to those who will be tuning in later on to our DELAC meeting. For your comfort, we have interpreters here with us, so you can pick your language channel for the interpretation. It's on the bottom part of your screen, and you can pick your language. It can be either English or Spanish. Next one, please. And once again, this is our first meeting for 2022, and we are on the Parent Advisory Committee for the English Language Learners. You can put your name, and you can put the name of your students or what school you are representing there in the chat. We are here present. I'm the president here of this committee. My name is Malet Centeno, and I'm from this school, from Anderson School. And also Mr. Miguel Gamboa is here. He is the vice president, and he represents the Mark Twain School. And we are continuing to actively look for a secretary, whether that be a man or a woman who would like to be here on our committee. And for our agenda today, we have Dr. Julie Kane, who's going to be speaking to us about the results, the summative results of the LPAC. So she's going to be responding to some questions that we have about LPAC. We also have Ms. Charisse Jones, who's going to be talking about the applications for the dual immersion programs. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Ms. Julie. Thanks. And before we get started, good morning to everybody. We have Dr. Hamilton with us here, and Mr. Collier, who's here in our meeting. I would like to invite you guys to share whatever you'd like to share with the group before I get started. Thank you.
I'm just here to sit in and listen and just to welcome everyone back to a new school year and Happy New Year, and hope we all have a great 2022.
I'm here to be able to listen and to learn what's going on, what you guys are doing in this committee, and to share things with you if there's time. And I also wanted to say thank you to Mr. Gamboa for speaking before the board last week. Very well, thank you. So we're going to start off with the information about the LPAC, and then afterwards, Dr. Hamilton, anything that you want to add, you have the opportunity. So I'm going to start off with the results for the summative LPAC, which is the exam that English language learners take during the spring of last year. This is information from the state of California. You can see how many kids got to level 4, level 3, 2, and 1. And you can see more or less 14% they got to level 4, right? I want to share California because you can see how the schools in Lawndale worked, how our kids reached level 4. More children in Lawndale reached level 4 than in the state of California. This comparison is important to see how our district is working and how the state is working. It's good news for us, right? Even in the midst of the COVID environment and all that's going on in the world, our children are working and they're progressing in learning English. And then to take a look at it, a closer look at each different grade, I want to take a look at 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to see the percentages that are reaching level 4 as well. What we want to do, we want our children to get reclassified before they get into middle school, right? So the majority, we're working well. You can see the 5th grade students at each school and the percentage that are reaching level 4. And then in the 2 middle schools, the 5th grade and the 8th grade are important because those are the grades where they're getting ready to change to the next level of school, right? So this is good information. It's showing that our children are progressing, and it also tells us that there's more work to be done. Remember, these are percentages. This information doesn't have the number of kids. When the group of kids, when the number is really low, possibly the percentage in Adams, the kids who have not reached level 4, it could be only 3 kids. It depends on the number of kids. This explains the percentage. So you can see, for example, in Twain, less than 10 students took the exam. So less than 10 kids that are English language learners in 5th grade there. We want to see more and more schools with low numbers of kids that are English language learners with not as much information to report. This information helps us to get ready. We can see that the kids in 5th grade last year are now our kids in 6th grade, right? So we're preparing them for their exam that starts on the first day of February. I think more and more kids are going to be reclassified. Before we continue, any questions about this part? I see we do have parents here in the meeting now. Everything is good? No, nobody's raising their hand, but if anybody wants to ask a question to Ms. Julie, please raise your hand or write it in the chat, and then I can read it there. Thank you. You're welcome. I did receive some questions about the LPAC, thinking about the preparation for the exam that's starting in February. Milet and Miguel shared with me these questions from you guys. And the first one, before we get started, I'm going to ask for the help of my team, my alerts team, if you want to help with the answers for these questions, because these are my answers, but you guys are in the schools and you have more information. So for the first question, it was, what communication is sent to the parents of the families regarding the tests? This is an example of a letter that the schools are going to send to the families to inform them that the exam is going to start. As I said, the exam starts on the first day of February. So you guys will be receiving letters from your principals, from the principals saying what the schedule is for the exam for your school, because each school is a little bit different. We'll get started with the group exam where they'll start with the reading, writing, and listening. And then afterwards will be the spoken part after all of the groups. Probably these letters will be received next week or very close to that date. Is that correct, my team? Have you sent the letters out or are you getting them ready? Good morning to everybody in the FDR school. I'm an alert in the school FDR. In that school, I did already send the letter to the teachers. The teachers did send it to the parents. So the parents already did receive notification about the exam. Very well, thanks. I think that the schools, I'm sorry, they are sending out their letters as well. Another question, how much advance time do you inform the parents about the exam? As I said, they're sending the letters and then the results, hopefully they will be arriving before the end of the school year, but we do have to wait and see what happens with the state. The information that they're sending to the parents don't have to respond to the correspondence. The only time, if the kids are studying at home, if they have to make an appointment to go to the school to take their exam. But those who are in the school, the parents don't have to do anything. The alerts with the teachers who are doing the exams, they're going to call the kids and they'll work with them in a different classroom. And then they'll be able to send them back to the class after the exam. There's nothing to do on the part of the parents. Also, there was a question, how much time is there in each section of the test? So I have a list for each grade is different. The most important thing is to say that there's not a time limit for the exam. The kids are able to work until they finish. But these numbers, this is like an estimation of how much time more or less the kids will need to take the exam. Remember, there's 4 parts: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Each part is different. This is table number 8, which is for kindergarten. It's more or less an hour to take their exam for them. And then for first grade, second grade, a little bit more time, between an hour, hour and a half to take all the parts of the exam. And then the 3rd through 5th grade, it's longer, more or less 2 to 2.5 hours. And then 6th through 8th grade, also more or less from 2 to 2.5 hours. It depends on each child. Remember, nobody will take the whole exam at the same sitting. There will be the reading, the writing, the listening in certain sessions. And then afterwards, the spoken one is different. It's one-on-one with a teacher. Any questions about that part? No, just an observation. I believe Miguel can help with this. The question is also directed about what way do we allow the kids to know that there's not a time limit? Perhaps you say to them, there's no time limit, but it could be that they might just be answering, like just guessing to finish as quickly as they can. How do we make them know about this time period? Do we communicate to them? I know the smaller ones, smaller kids, it's more necessary to have that information. Well, for the kindergarten kids and for 1st and 2nd grade, the whole exam will be one-on-one with a teacher. So they have to take their time because there is an adult who is administering the exam, right? For those who are in 3rd all the way to 8th, they are working more independently. So the teacher is looking at the kids to see if somebody finishes in 5 minutes, they haven't really done their best effort. So we have to practice and say, look, to do your best effort, to be able to get to level 4, you have to take your time. You have to read carefully. You have to think about your answers before picking the option, right? And then a very important thing that the teachers are doing and the parents can also do is to practice with their kids in home using the practice exams, right? And we do have a link in another slide, and you can use that link. We've shared it in the past where you can find this information. The most important thing that I've seen a lot of the DELACs and the teachers are talking to the kids about the importance of doing their best on this exam. Very well, thank you. Anything else that you guys are doing that you can share about? Yes, I am every day. I speak with the parents from 4th and 5th to talk about the objectives. We talk about the results from the exams last year, and the kids, they look at their scores from last year and what kind of results they want for this year and what they have to do to be able to reach those objectives. If they got a 2 on the LPAC last year and they want a 3, then what they have to do or what they can do at home. For example, they can read more at home or pay more attention during class. They can do the practice exams of the LPAC. And during the actual exam, they can take their time. They can do their best effort, take a look at each question. So I'm talking like that with the kids now, so they can know what they have to do to be able to have better scores on the exams. Thanks, Sandra. Thank you, Ms. Carr. So yeah, that was precisely how this focus is, how they make the kids know the importance that this is such a crucial test for them. Thank you. And then thinking about that, there's also the question, we know that these tests can cause stress in the students, right? So how can you manage the emotional aspects of the students before and during the test? Well, I'm not an expert in this area, but I did look for some resources that you guys can use. This website, we'll see if you guys can take a look at it. There's a lot of things that you can use, but I found this. It is, it seems like a very good article with good information. It talks about anxiety prior to exams, which is normal to kids, and what kind of things we can do as parents and as teachers. This is a pretty long article. I'm going to move carefully. But this article explains anxiety, why it exists. What I want to share with you guys is what can parents do and what can the teachers do, right? So I'm going to share this link so you can read it at on your own time with more detail. The first thing is to offer positive messages. This is an important exam, right? But it's not the end of the world. It's just 1 day, 1 hour. It's just like a snapshot of their ability in that moment, but it doesn't say everything that they're able to do in English. We want to do the best we can, but it's not the only time when they're able to demonstrate their capacity, right? So we take this exam every year. We have lots of opportunities to practice, and it's a good idea to practice the exam with your child so that when they reach the actual exam, they're familiar with it. Oh, I've seen a question about this. I practiced with my mom. I already know how to respond to this question. That's going to help. Maintaining or keeping open in communication so you can talk about the anxiety and what they're thinking about the exam. Thinking about the expectations of the parents. If I think my kid can't bring less than an A in each class, they're going to have a lot of stress, right? So if I accept that they're going to do the best effort and they can get like an A, a B, or maybe a few C's in their classes, it's okay because they're doing their best. We need to think about what kind of expectations we're putting on our kids. Another one, we can transmit our own anxiety to kids they're working for themselves and not for us. We also can help them to develop preparation techniques as we've talked about or discussed. And as I have said, I'm not the expert, but I found this article, and there's also some videos on YouTube for kids that say how to get prepared, but I had some difficulty getting those to share with you today. But you can take a look and search for them. And it says language for kids of how you can explain things like this. And I did find one in Spanish. They exist and you can look for them. I believe that the social workers in schools and also the counselors can help too if you have other questions about this, this social emotional world. So this was my research, and anybody more intelligent than me who can share more about this idea of preparing your kids? Those are good. That's a good advice, Ms. Julie. Thank you for taking the time to do this research. And when we were talking with Mr. Miguel Gamboa about this topic of the exams or tests, we said precisely the kids can feel very pressured about having to achieve a certain goal, which is perhaps really big or high. And that can create a little bit of anxiety. It can create some stress. And I do think it's important for us to talk with our kids about these small tips, which perhaps at home there's different tips for them, but to help them see that the test is important, but as Ms. Julie said, it's not the end of the world. There's other opportunities. We see it more in the adolescents or those who are in the intermediate or middle school, how they want to be able to reach this goal of reclassifying before they go to high school. But yes, thank you. And for the parents, we recommend, if you have any questions, if you're seeing that your student is struggling when that time for the test is coming up, you can contact your social worker. I don't know all of them, but I know that all of them are available to respond to questions. So you can speak with your kids. They can answer the questions that you guys have as parents. So thanks, Ms. Julie. You're welcome. And another bit of information, I need to go back. I'm gonna take off the share for a little bit so I can find the slide again.
Nope, still there.
Todavía,
Cuando está compartiendo la pantalla es difícil.
when I'm sharing the screen, it's hard to find like one's own document there for the screen.
Estoy lista.
So now I'm ready.
Otra cosa que compartimos con
Another
ustedes
thing that we
es
share,
otra
and we've
vez,
shared before, I want to remind you once
pueden
again,
encontrar los exámenes de práctica
this is the site
para
where you
los
can find the
niños.
practice tests so you can share with your children.
Pueden seguir la link.
So I'm going to
Recuerden que
follow the
ustedes
link.
pueden ir a los, exámenes
So
de
remember, you can go to these practice tests
LPAC sumativo.
for the summative
Pueden
LPAC.
encontrarlos por grado.
You can find them by grade.
No, este explica, pero no es,
This explains it, but
Here we go. Donde pueden encontrar los exámenes de práctica.
so this is where you can find the practice tests.
Entrar el sistema.
So you can go into the system and you can pick.
This is para hacer el examen. Ay,
This is for actually doing the exam.
completamente hoy, pero estoy tratando.
My mind is not working completely well today, but I'm trying to share with you guys where you can find these things. So
La link para
you can follow the link and find
que pueden hacer con sus hijos.
the exams you can do with your kids. It's a good opportunity to practice all the forms, all the different aspects of reading and writing and listening and speaking. So I'm going to take a look to try to find these slides again. So with the ELACs have shared all this information. You can follow it to do practice. And the more comfortable the kids are with the exams, the better they will actually work during the real test, right? So taking this time with your child is important. I do believe that is it in regards to the exam. So I want to take some time for any questions before I share information about the dual immersion program. That's everything about the test. Anything? I don't see any hands up. Don't see anything. That's because my lead already explained everything, and not just me. Any of the parents that are here present, do you have any questions? Miguel, do you have any questions? No, I just want to make a comment for the parents who are here. You can just feel confident to speak up and ask questions and not just say, oh, I didn't know this. I know there are parents who don't know all this information. It's important for us to speak up about sharing this information with the rest of the parents in the district, because this is something that's really important for the parents who are here. They're receiving the information, but how can we share this information? And also, I have not a question, but more so a comment in regards to the schools. We don't have to have an answer now, but just to think about whether we're doing something in schools to celebrate the students who are going to take this exam, like get them together a week prior. As a principal, this is something that we did. We would get the students and buy a pizza for them and encourage them to take their time and to do their best effort. And this is something that's important because they need to get reclassified. So perhaps for the next meeting, we can talk about how we can do that. I know the exam is coming up, so we need to recognize the students who are going to take this exam so that they can know that the school is supporting them. The parents, the district are supporting them. We're thinking about them so they can have that motivation. You know, I know that these are sensitive times and stressful times. So I wanted that. How are we recognizing them and how are we celebrating them so that they can move forward? Thank you, Miguel. And I can see that each school's different and their celebrations are different. But I do know, for example, when there's like a whole class in the intermediate school, because they're in ELD classes, they are doing their exams at the same time. So there's anticipation, they're preparing them. And there is motivation because they do want to reach the goals to be able to reclassify. The smaller kids, because there's a lot of days of the testing, I don't know how they're doing these celebrations. I'm not sure if in ELAC, if it's something that we could share here, but it's a good question to ask your ELACs when you have your meetings. It might not be just about the staff, but also the parents can do things too to motivate the staff to be able to do things. That's a good idea. Because we do want to improve, that kids can know that it's important, but they can see school as a place where there's happiness. We want school to be a place where kids want to go to because we're doing interesting things. We have opportunities to demonstrate what we know, and we want to celebrate when we reach our goals or anything. In this case, it's in regards to language, but we can provide lots of opportunities to have celebration in this moment for going to school, because the world's crazy and we want the kids to be able to go. If there's no other comments in this area, I do, Ms. Julie, we do have a mom who raised her hand. Fantastic. Okay. So Hudi, you could open up your mic, please. Hello and good morning to everybody. Can I open up my cameras to be able to, you can see me? I just want to support that idea of Mr. Miguel about talking with the kids about the motivation for these exams. As Ms. Julie was saying, it goes hand in hand with learning. So I have 3 children and they're in special ed. And for me, to be able to introduce that motivation for them to do something, that's really important, because if they don't have that motivation, they don't have interest in learning. So for me, it was very difficult for me last year, because I remember last year we were here at the home on Zoom, and I tried to tell them this is important. And perhaps it wasn't the best scenario, because it being at home with 3 kids, I had to have 3 different desks, 3 different spaces. So each one could have like a little cubicle where they could be calm and without noise. So last year was not the best scenario for them to be able to have that motivation to do the test. So I do think this is an important part, what Mr. Miguel is saying, to do like incentives or to motivate the kids so that they can have a better outcome. I don't know right now, when we talked about results or outcomes, I don't know if doing that exam on Zoom, being at home, that's different than doing the exam at school. It does depend, right? The majority are going to do it at school. Those who are working one-on-one with the teacher, it's easier, right? If they're working in a group, it's different, because they're all in their own computer working with one person on each side of them working. But that's true. The teacher has the opportunity to motivate them, to say, do your best effort and we'll celebrate what you can do. And you can also see in the practice test, your kids can do the work, right? It's just about practicing this type of exam. Then the kids are going to have more confidence to actually bring that to the real exam. Yes, that's true. So it's good for them to implement that for the kids, because right now, currently, with all the anxiety and stress, motivation is like a plus for learning. Thank you. Thanks, Sudhi. Any other comments? Thanks, Judith. I don't see any other hands raised. Okay, so I want to share some good news with you guys. Our dual immersion program is growing. If you haven't already heard, we're going to open up not just in Twain a program, but also in Mitchell Elementary. So now, instead of having 56 spots for kinder next year, we will have more than 100 spots for the kindergarten kids. This is a fantastic thing, and we want you guys to know the dates when you have to do your applications, etc. So on our website, we have a dual language immersion web page. It has all the information on the dates. You can see with these arrows here, there's links for the applications, You can follow those here on the left. There are videos you can take a look at. So then the meeting, you don't have to wait just for the meeting with Ms. Jones, but you can look now at these videos to take a look at the program, how it works, how the classes are, the percentage of English and Spanish in the classes. There is a lot of information here. And then afterwards, we're going to do some Zoom meetings to respond to your questions. So you can see here again, you can go here to access the applications. And these are the info sessions on February 2nd at 9:30 in the morning in Spanish with a translation into English, and the same day on February 2nd at 5 p.m. in English with the interpretation into Spanish. So there'll be a lot of opportunities to learn about this program. We're very happy to offer this finally for more kids. And once again, here's the information about the info sessions for the parents. But I do want to mention once and again, there's not a whole lot of time for Ms. Jones to explain every part of the program. That's why these videos are there, so you can look at those before the meeting, and so you can bring your questions to that meeting. We'll also have the opportunity in the schools that have preschool for the parents to learn more information. I'm getting ahead on my slides. We have flags, we have social media. Perhaps you guys have seen, how do you say it? The
muchas maneras de compartir información sobre nuestro.
There's a lot of different ways that we are sharing the information, even billboards on the 405 about this program. So the end of the application window is on the February 25th. Don't forget that. That's a very important date, because if you receive an application after the 25th, that's at the very end of the line. So we want everyone to be able to have their application arrive on time. And before we hand over the baton to Milet, any questions about the dual immersion program and the dates, the videos, any questions? I don't see any. I don't see any reaction from the parents who are here. All right, so Milet, it's your time. Thank you, thank you. Before, I know Ms. Hamilton needs to leave, is very busy. Do you have any questions? I know this week, as Ms. Julie said, this has been a very interesting week. I know that our schools right now are struggling with different circumstances because of the current health situation. I know the other doctor wasn't able to be with us today, but will be at the DELAC meeting. And I know that you weekly are doing the update to be able to share with us what's going on within the district. But if for just a moment right now, if you, how do you see, what kind of state is our district in right now with all that is going on with the tests, with everything surrounding COVID? How are we? Yes, thank you. Well, as you can imagine, our main focus during the pandemic is to protect the health of our students, the health of our staff, and the families. Dr. Daniel Urrutia has been working very hard to be able to guarantee that we have weekly tests for all of the staff. These tests are available in each school and in the district office here. And for our students and families, we offer exams on Wednesday in the district office. I believe it's from 10:30 in the morning until 6:30 in the evening. And I do want to thank a lot of our employees for offering their time as volunteers to help the lines so that the tests would be shorter. Last week, the families were waiting like 2 hours or more. And then at the same time, we want to ensure and keep our focus on the progress of our students, academically, as well as also in terms of their social emotional health. I also wanted to mention, I don't know how to say it in Spanish.
Quisiera compartir que
our district is actually doing more than the rest of the districts with the tests and providing clinics, immunization clinics, or vaccines. And then if there are questions about closing schools or going back to the distance learning, we don't have plans for that in this moment. One reason for that is that Governor Newsom is not allowing the schools to close or converting to distance learning. The only reason that we can do that is if there's a whole lot of kids or a whole lot of employees that have COVID and we're not able to continue with a classroom or a whole school. The only district in this area who has that problem in this moment is Inglewood. And they have closed 4 schools, I believe. I was communicating by text with the superintendent over there. It's a woman. But here in Lawndale, we're doing quite well. Even though there are more infections and there are more people who have to stay at home,
when you have to stay home. La palabra para,
Cuarentena.
Quarantine. Thank you, quarantine. And so we do hope, just like in last year, when we had a lot of infections, the curve was going like that, and then it went down like that. So that's why we are hoping 1 more week, maybe 2 more weeks. And then after,
the surge, quizás Mailet puede ayudarme. The surge will diminish. The surge will go down. La amplia va bajarse. Yo no sé cómo se dice.
that the surge will go down. So the curve will diminish. Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. And I was mentioning precisely earlier to Brenda, one example, my student, this is my student's questions every day. She gets up, are they going to close the school? Are they going to close the school? Are they going to close this day? And I say, don't worry today. When the school informs us, you will know it. You will also be aware of it. But for right now, you're going to continue going in person to school, but you just have to take the precautions. You have to follow the hygiene guidelines. And I believe it's also important for us as parents to remind our students about these precautions that they can take. I do thank you so much for this information, Dr. Hamilton. Thanks so much. And this helps us to feel a little bit secure. There's not an imminent possibility for the schools to close tomorrow. Thank you so much. Any of the parents that are here present, any questions for Dr. Hamilton? Please, this is your moment. I do. Yes, good morning. Good morning, Hamilton. Now that you're mentioning about the tests that were the home tests and also the tests in the district, wouldn't it be prudent when it's believed that there was a child who had contact with someone who's positive to do there at school a home test instead of saying go to the home first for 5 days or 10 days, or even for them to stay at school, even though they've had contact? If you're sure, because even if they're vaccinated, they could still get the infection, and that could increase that could cause the school to close. So wouldn't it be prudent to also, before sending them, just to have a safety or to have like a more solid security before making decisions? I don't know if I explained my question or my suggestion. I do need help with your question. Maybe Marina, is the question about whether you have to stay at home if there was an exposure? No, my question would be, why not giving a home test, or in that exact same school, giving them a test if they believe that the child had contact with a positive case? Well, as I said before, we are doing the most that we can. Dr. Urrutia's work, the result of his work was that we received these rapid tests to be able to distribute to our kids, our students. In Hawthorne, a neighboring district, they don't have any tests for the teachers or the employees or for the kids, the students. We do want to continue with this. I know that President Biden and also the governor, they have the intention of providing more rapid tests. And in the ideal situation, in my opinion, those tests should be free and available to everyone 5 days a week. We can't kill the virus if we are infecting everyone else, because if we don't know that we have the virus. With the Omicron, it is possible and it is common that there are people who they don't have symptoms, but they are transmitting the infection to other people. So because of that, with the objective that for us, it's that we can have all of these rapid tests available for everyone every day. We've passed out more than 5,000 tests during the past 2-3 weeks. And we're going to continue every Wednesday with Fulgent, que es el nombre de, Fulgent is the name rather of the company who is doing the tests at the district, but you have to wait in the line. You have to wait in the line. And in the future, it's better. I do know that Dr. Urrutia ordered more rapid tests. The company could only send no more than 600, even though it seems like that's a lot. We have 4,900 students and then 800 employees. So because of that, I don't know how to say that in Spanish.
Supplies. No hay bastante para todos. Sí, se va.
There's not a whole lot to reach everybody. But if you go to the pharmacy, you won't be able to find the test. We're trying to provide as many as possible. Sorry, Dr. Hamilton, sorry for interrupting. The question was more about if you can do the exam that was sent home, can we do this actual exam at school when the child has been exposed to a positive case? I do believe I can invite Dr. Urrutia to come to the meeting now, or I can call him, but I don't know. I don't know if the schools, they don't have boxes full of those tests. I think we sent them all. Sorry, Dr. Hamilton. Daniel is not available right now because he's getting ready for the clinic, which starts at 11. The supply of the material, part of it is because there's not enough of that. And because of the County of Los Angeles's regulations, there's certain days that have to go by. It's not something that's going to immediately come out as positive. Yeah, and I can also add, it seems like there's millions of parents who have called to share the information. We need day 5 is the day when the family can take the exam, because we need quite a bit of time for the virus to be able to express itself in a positive, coming out as positive. A lot of times, if we take the exam too early, it's going to say negative when it's actually positive. So we have to wait. And the rules are different for those who are vaccinated and for those who aren't. If you're vaccinated, you don't have to stay at home if there's no symptoms. It's only those who are not vaccinated who have to stay at home. Every situation is different. It depends on what the kids, if the kids have received both vaccines, and if they're eligible to receive the booster, they have to get the booster to be able to be fully vaccinated, right? So those rules are changing each day. So we're trying to follow things that are changing minute by minute. We're doing the best we can in this moment to follow the CDC rules. And then anyways, if you want to, I wrote down these questions that you had, and I'm going to make those, email this to Dr. Kane, also to Dr. Urrutia. If I can get an answer, I will make that available to you. Thank you so much. We do have Ms. Ada, her hand raised. Yes, very good morning to each one of you. My question, you already responded a little bit to it, but the first question if a child is positive and they're vaccinated, do they stay in the school? And I believe you were saying yes. The second question is, or comment, would it be possible to have a meeting with the parents from the district, those who are able to go attend the meeting, to help respond to our questions about the vaccine? I know the kids stay in school if they're positive, but if they're vaccinated. So that would be good. It'd be a very good topic. I don't know if you guys could help us out with that.
Marina, you go ahead.
Una corrección.
Just a correction. I don't know if I did hear that well, but any person who is completely vaccinated, and if they're positive, they have to enter into quarantine. A student cannot stay in school being positive. Yeah. Those who are exposed, yes, but the student who's actually positive, even if they're fully vaccinated, cannot stay in the school. If they were exposed, or if it's a contact and they're completely vaccinated, they can stay actually in school. But if it's a child who's positive, they're not able to.
Y como dijo la señora Kane,
And just like Ms. Kane said,
la doctora,
oh, Dr. Kane said,
disculpe,
sorry,
las reglas están cambiando.
the rules are changing almost every day.
Tenemos una
And
junta hoy
we have a meeting today
con
at 1 in the afternoon
Barbara Ferrer
with Dr. Barbara Federer. She's the director of
de la Oficina de Salud Pública
the Office of Public
de
Health
Los Ángeles.
for the County of Los Angeles.
Hay dos prioridades:
There are two priorities: health
mantener las escuelas abiertas
and keeping the schools open if it's possible.
y están cambiando o
And they're changing,
ajustando,
they're adjusting, I believe that's the word, adjusting.
ajustando los protocolos
Adjusting the protocols
en cómo los doctores están
about how the doctors are learning more about Omicron
funciona,
and how it works.
como la ciencia de Omicron.
The science about Omicron is changing, or rather we're learning more and more each day about it. So because of that,
Lo que es
we know,
más,
for example, that it's
contagious, ¿cuál es la palabra?
Contagioso.
contagious.
Y, en el pasado,
And in the past,
estábamos diciendo
we were saying
15 minutos
that 15 minutes
alguien
close to someone within 6 feet,
contacto,
that was a contact.
pero ahora
But now
hay personas que están
it seems that there are people
infectado
who are infected
con mask y mask. Las dos tienen
with
máscara,
both people wearing masks and they get infected.
no sirve para
It doesn't work
evitar.
to be able to avoid the infection.
Si mira a la Lawndale
If you take a look at Lawndale
website
at the website,
de Lawndale hay información allá.
the Lawndale website has information. I'm looking for it, but I can't find it quickly,
Los protocolos que están
about the protocols, which are changing each day,
semana.
every week. And then also There's information on the website where there are common questions and answers.
Le puede ayudar.
Perhaps that can help you for right now. Thanks, Dr. Hamilton. I do know every week you do a video where you give us updates about what's happening within the district. And I want to imagine that this week you will include a lot of information about this. I do know that there are various questions, so perhaps we'll still have a few of those pending, but you could let us know the questions in chat, or if there's a question that's really urgent, you could communicate with your community liaisons in the school through Class Dojo, or by means of email. And you can let us know those questions in whatever way you can so that the adequate staff from the district can respond to those questions that you have, or communicate directly with your schools, with a staff member, the secretary, or the people who are within the office. They can make that reach the adequate person to respond. We have limited time. We know that everyone who's here present have some other commitments. So we thank each one of you for your presence. We know this is an important topic, that there's a lot of doubts, a lot of questions. We do hope to have news from Dr. Hamilton and Dr. Danielle soon through the website. If you want to, you can take a moment and take a look at the website from our district so that you can get more information. And there are some meetings that are here for the local ELAC meetings. So I just want to say thank you so much for your presence. We are going to meet next month on February 9th, but on January 26th, please come attend. Dr. Danielle Urrutia will be present at that meeting, and you can make these questions and ask other questions. I know this is going to continue advancing and evolving, as Dr. Hamilton mentioned. So please be there with us if you have the opportunity. 9 in the morning on January 26th, and then again on February 9th at 9 in the morning. Thanks for everybody present. Thanks for all the parents for your time. And then we'll see you the school site meeting on January 20th at 6 p.m. And also in the chat, there's some links. If you have any questions, that's where you can find the information. Thank you, Marina. Thank you to each one of you present. Thank you. Thank you for all of your questions, all your participation, and we will see you soon. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia. We'll see you later.